Thank you for joining us for part 2 of our Rimrocker area adventure. Now, if you missed the first part, there's a link right up above, so you can start there and then come back to this. Right now we're turning left onto Highway 141. Now, you go 1.5 miles down this highway, you'll make a right where the Dolores Bridge is, and you continue on Rimrocker Trail. But that's not in store for us right now. We are going to skip that for the time being. We'll get back to it, but we're going to take a step back in history, see some incredible engineering, and then get back to Rimrocker later on. Now, the first little side trip of today is to visit this thing right here. What is it? This is a coke oven. Now, this was built in the late 1800s to convert green coal into coke coal, which burns much hotter and doesn't have as much smoke, making it a very clean source of power. It also produced materials to work with steel production. Now, it's believed that this particular coke oven was likely used by blacksmiths who forged iron for the construction workers during the construction of the Hanging Flume. Now, if you don't know what the Hanging Flume is, well, that's next on our adventure today. As I said, we're going to step back into history today. We're going to continue on for 2.3 miles past the coke oven to the next point of interest sign, which is this, the Hanging Flume Overlook. Now, this is not to be missed. We're going to talk more about the flume later on, but this is going to give you a brief introduction to what the Hanging Flume is. Well, what is the Hanging Flume? Well, it was a water delivery system that was built into the side of the cliffs to transport water almost 13 miles from the headwaters down to the placer mines. Now, this was an incredible feat of engineering, given that the entire thing, over 10 miles long, maintained a 0.17% grade, which is only a 90-foot drop over the entire length. What this did was built up a tremendous amount of water pressure that was used for hydraulic mining. Now, an interesting aspect of this is that there are no photos, there's no drawings, there's no information about how they built this flume. So scientists and experts today can only guess at how they managed to get such precise engineering, making this an absolute wonder of old-time engineering. I highly suggest you take a moment and read through the different signs and placards to learn more about the area, the history, and the people that built the flume back in the day. Now, while it was an incredible feat of engineering, the mine that it supplied water to eventually was a failure. Now, one important point about the flume is that it's actually listed by the World Monument Fund as one of the top 100 most endangered historical sites. While over the years, people took most of the wood away, which is why there's very little to be seen of the flume today, nature will eventually claim the rest of it, and someday there'll be no sign that it ever existed. Now, we continued past the Hanging Flume Overlook, and we are turning on Y11 Road, because we still have a few more points of interest to share with you. Now, Y11 Road is going to follow the Dolores River on our right-hand side here. Now, coming up, you'll see an older bridge that used to take you into the town of Yerevan, which is no longer there. But we're going to talk about that more in a little bit. Well, we are kind of taking it on faith, driving in here to see what this Y11 road has in store. But I will say, it's a beautiful drive. This is absolutely gorgeous through here. Deep canyons, right on the river. This is quite a beautiful drive. A few miles up the road, you will come across this sign on the side of the road. Be sure and stop and look up. Because in 2012, a 48-foot section of the Flume was rebuilt in order to test theories of how it was constructed. Because the whole construction of the Flume is one of the things that makes it so unique, because there are so many mysteries involved. How was it constructed? How did they communicate with the people above to create the custom sections for every inch of the Flume? And how could the workers have driven 18-inch holes into the canyon walls in an age before power drills? Well, I don't know about anybody else, but I was completely blown away by the engineering of the Hanging Flume. But we got back going on Y11 and started heading up further down the river. Another cool aspect here is the confluence of the San Miguel and Dolores rivers. This looks so cool. It's kind of hard to see from the ground, but from the air, you can really see the difference in these two rivers as they come together. So we went to kind of the end of Y11. It flattens out, it goes into kind of a valley area, and then the next stop there is the highway. So we decided to turn around and start heading back and get back to Rimrocker and finish our journey. But it started to get dark, we started to get hungry. We decided it's best to find a campsite, which we did. Beautiful little area here. We got the river right across from us. We can hear that going right now. So we had some food, we got things set up, and we're gonna be good for the night here, I think. And then tomorrow morning, we'll get back on the road, get back over to Rimrocker, and decide what we're gonna do from there. But for right now, it's time to relax, take it easy, and then go to bed. One of us, I think, is already ahead of that curve. How's my dirty dog? Yep. Say good night to everybody. But before we could get settled for the evening, we had a little bit of rain, but then we were gifted with a beautiful double rainbow. Oh, kind of lost the second one. Maybe that's a sign of good luck. A rainbow over our campsite. Well, we're leaving our campsite for the night on Y11 road. Now, I would say if you love just a beautiful scenic drive, Y11 is fantastic. It is absolutely gorgeous. If you want, you know, if you're kind of a crazy history buff and you want to see that reconstructed part of the Hanging Flume, then, you know, you'll probably want to check it out. Hi, Lucas. You know, if you're looking for something technical to add to the Rimrocker adventure, then this isn't it. This is a very nice, smooth, graded road along the Dolores and San Miguel rivers with a little bit of history and some absolutely scenic views. Oh, and the confluence of the two rivers. Yeah, so there's some things to see if you just want a nice, easy, you know, drive. Now, there's not a lot of camping along Y11. There's a few spots, some right on the river, some across the road like we stayed. But right now, we need to get back to Rimrocker Trail. But before we do, there's one last piece of history we want to share with you. Now, over on the left side of the river here, with what looks to be just a big open plain, used to be the city of Yerevan. Now, Yerevan actually got its name by combining the words uranium and vanadium, both pretty radioactive materials. In the mid-1940s, the U.S. Vanadium Company built a mill in Yerevan to process the carnotite ore into uranium oxide. Well, this had the unfortunate consequence of making the town rather radioactive. A lot of people got sick and died because of radiation poisoning. Yerevan continued to prosper until 1971, when the government stopped acquiring the uranium and the price began to decline. With uranium mining coming to a close, the Yerevan mill was closed in 1984, and the area was deemed a Superfund cleanup site, and the entire area was scraped to the ground. Today, there is absolutely nothing left of the town of Yerevan. But now it's time for us to get back to the Rimrocker Trail and continue our adventure. We are back to Rimrocker, and well, you can tell this is one super popular place to camp. Definitely not our particular style, with as many people are right here on top of each other.
I'm very happy where we camped.
Oh yeah, I am much happier we camped back there where we did. But this is definitely a staging point for side-by-sides and ATVs and things. Wow, that's a lot of people. Well, we're going to continue on Rimrocker here. Probably run into a bunch of those people that we just saw camped down there. And we'll see where this takes us today. after that amazing climb up the hill, the shelf road, and that incredible view of Biscuit Rock, we are now at the top of Carpenter Flats, heading in to the Monte La Salle National Forest. We're going to be up here for a while, and those La Salle Mountains off in the distance keep getting closer. As we get to the top of the mesa, things are still rocky. It's a rougher surface than it was on the other side of the river. We went ahead and aired down a little bit more just to make things not only a little more comfortable, but on some of the steeper things we were getting a little tire slippage, and don't want to have that with the trailer. Be sure and keep your eye on the map, because there are a ton of little side trails leading off in both directions. If you want to stay on the trail, you need to pay attention. At around the 10.5 mile mark from the highway, you'll be at the top of Carpenter Ridge. We highly suggest you take a moment, look over to your side, and take a good look at Paradox Valley. Now, Paradox Valley is an interesting geographic formation. It used to be a salt dome, but it collapsed when water underneath it dissolved a layer of salt. The limestone and sandstone on top of that then collapsed, forming the valley that you see down below. The valley itself gets its name from the fact that the Dolores River, paradoxically, runs across it north-south instead of east-west, which it normally would in other places. So, take a moment, enjoy the view, because soon we're going to be off the top and heading into the forest. Got a rough, rocky climb up here. Shout out to the 5 guys who just went past us from Nebraska, coming all the way out here to run the Rimrocker Trail. So, hey guys, nice to see you on the trail. And we are just continuing on as we get into the forest area. We definitely climbed up quite a bit. We're at 7,834 feet. So getting back into the pine trees, which is nice. A little cooler, a little smoother, making for an excellent day on the trail. We are entering the Buckeye Recreation Area with Buckeye Reservoir here. There's camping if you want some campsites. There's a couple dispersed sites here. There's a couple group sites. The reservoir, great for having some water fun on, do some fishing if you want. But this is really the last place to stop before you reach the Utah border. So if you want to camp for the night or a weekend or whatever, it's a great place to stop and take a little break. The forest has definitely been a nice change of pace from the more deserty terrain that we had before. And as we continue, we're going to get to the about 109-mile mark, and that's when we're going to reach the Utah border. Be sure and stop and take a picture at the broken sign. And once again, the landscape has changed as we exit the forest and head into the Utah desert. We're currently heading up LaSalle Pass Road. Now that intersection is really tricky. We have missed it both times we've done Rimrocker. It's so easy to miss that turn. So make sure you're running Gaia or Trails Off-Road or something that you've got directions, because you think you're going to go straight and you're supposed to make a hard right. So don't miss it. Don't miss LaSalle Pass Road if you're trying to stay on Rimrocker Trail. We're going to go up here a little bit and then head off to the left. There's another trail that goes off to the right, so you could definitely spend a lot of time up here. This area is really popular with ATVs, side-by-sides, motorcycles, things like that. But it does get a little tricky up ahead. So hopefully we're going to be just fine. Yeah, there's actually a little gatekeeper at the beginning of this part of the trail here. This is USFS Road 128, I think. We're bounced, yeah, 128. It becomes a lot more narrow and rougher. There may be a chance of pinstriping up ahead on this. We'll have to see how overgrown it was. I don't recall it scraping the Jeep 3 years ago, but who knows how well this has been maintained or, well, not maintained. And there are a handful of dispersed camping sites along here. So if you want to stop for lunch or stop for the night, this is a great area to do it in. It's nice and cool up here. Definitely has some nice views. But this is going to be the hardest spot on the Utah side of Rimrocker Trail. As I said, it does get really narrow through here, and there is some potential pinstriping if you're not paying attention. It does seem cut back enough that we haven't scraped on anything yet, but if you are on a shelf road here, and if you go too much driver, you can definitely scrape on this side. So you got to be careful is what I'm saying. It is pretty tight, and I don't know that I'd want to go in through here with anything wider than our Jeep, purely from a pinstripe point of view, at least on this section. I would say we're down to only about a half mile left of this section of the trail, and it has been rough. Now, if you watch the video and you're like, yeah, I don't want to do that, don't give up on Rimrocker, because there is a spot before this that you can just go straight to the highway. So you can bypass this section of the trail pretty easily. So, but if you want to give it a try, go for it. Highly recommend you air down. It is very rough. You want low range gear for the climbing and the steep descents, and you want some decent tires because there are some sharp rocks. Other than that, it's a fun drive with some great views, and hope you know how to buff out pinstripes, because you might get a couple. You might not, but you might. So, fair warning. But look at this view from up here. Just a remarkable view.
And there is our road down there.
Yep.
That is where we're going.
We got to end up down there somewhere on that road. So, I think the worst of it's over. At least I'm going to call it that. And we'll be back on a smoother road in a few minutes. Really thankful right now we have got off those rocks finally. That is a long, slow section of driving that you've got to do. And now that we're on dirt instead of rock, we're gonna pick up a little bit of speed, and yeah, hopefully this lasts for a while. It's been 3 years, so we don't really remember too many of the details, but we're hoping we've got some clear sailing for a while. I'll take ruts and bumps over all those rocks right now, that's for sure. And I spoke too soon. Not 20 seconds after I recorded that last piece, it's nice and rocky again. So next time, I'm gonna keep my mouth shut and not try and jinx it. Once you cross over the cattle guard and you're back into BLM area, the road is definitely a little smoother. Be sure and watch for cattle on the road. We got some big moos here. We got a little baby moo over there. Hi, baby moo. Hey, baby moo. Another baby moo. Hi, baby moo. Hey, mama moo. That's big mama. All right, it's time to pick up some speed.
I told you fine.
We are on Black Ridge Trail. We are at mile marker 137. It is almost like driving on smooth concrete in comparison to what we've done all day. There are going to be a few rocky sections in here, but overall it's going to be a lot smoother. I mean, you see people with big fifth wheels that have driven them in on this road. So nothing crazy at all. Time to make up whatever lost speed you think you'd have done, or just give your internal organs a rest, because it is some smooth sailing. Now, if you are looking for some serious off-roading in the Moab area, check out Area BFE. And you can just go to areabfe.com, I believe, on the web. Check this place out. There is everything from mild to super wild here. It is an amazing area. It is private property, so you do need to call and make a reservation. And it's, I want to say it was like $25 a day or $100. No, it was more than that. It was like $50 a day or $100 a day. It was pretty expensive, but you can get reservations now at Area BFE. I briefly want to mention this area right here, which is Coyote Canyon 4x4 Trail. Now, Trails Off-Road rates this area a 9.5 to 10. This is not for your typical stock vehicle by any stretch of the imagination. If this is the type of thing you're into, that is super cool. Just go online and you can get a free permit for the day. At this point, if you have had enough, you can get on the pavement because it's literally right there. I mean, it is feet away from the frontage road that is Rimrocker Trail. So, what are we gonna do? We're gonna take the frontage road. We are not done with Rimrocker yet, but at least we're heading towards Moab now. And this may seem odd, but we're on pavement, sort of anyway. At least at one point in the past, this was asphalt. It is totally trashed at this point. Not much of it left, but you can actually see some points where there was paint down the middle and obviously a road. And then we have that little climb over there to the right to do next. Little climb over to the right. No, just kidding. We're not that would be fun. But we're gonna drop down another little dip here and get into a large meadow where a lot of people camp. So as soon as we come over the ridge, you'll start seeing probably a bunch of campers out in this area. It is dispersed camping, so if you want a place to stay, you can usually find one over here. If you like a bunch of neighbors, that is. This section of the road will make you question why you didn't just hop on the highway a few miles back there. It is rough and slow going, and you just look to your left and you see people doing 65, 70 miles an hour while you're over here doing like 5 or 6 miles an hour. It is.
They see the same what we see.
Yeah, it is some way rough going. But we're getting ready to get off of this stuff in just a moment and get on something a little smoother.
And the pavement.
And pavement. We are actually going to wrap this up on pavement, it looks like. So we'll be making a left here, and we'll see where this takes us. I vaguely remember the tail end of this, so we'll see where we head, or we see where we go. We see where we get to, something like that. Yeah. That's it. We have just finished the Rimrocker Trail with some of the little side routes that we did. Had a lot of fun. Katarina did all of the driving while I managed all the navigation and the navigation mistakes. Those were all on me. So I did the navigation, the recording, the filming, all of that this time. She did 100% of the driving. So very proud of her. She did a great job. Lucas, co-pilot, he did fantastic, did great in the tent. That was his first tent adventure, so he did fantastic. Huh, buddy? Yes, you did great. So thanks for watching, everybody. We had a great time. We hope you enjoy our video. And if you have any questions about Rimrocker Trail, hit us up in the comments below. We'll be happy to answer them. Thanks for watching, everybody. Stay safe out there. We'll see you on the trails.